So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a good situation in Mali where the citizens are coming out in different places to really give a lot of credit to the government of Mali for protecting lives and property, for fighting very, very hard, even in the face of the oppression and the aggression of the colonialists that have been trying to put a lot of pressure on Mali. The government continue to withhold their standard and the moral values, the core values of the nation. This is the highest level of patriotism they have seen so far. Something that some of them have said that they did not even enjoy during the democratic regime. And they say they have more freedom, they can do their thing, even though the terrorists continue to try everything through propaganda and through different means to try to destabilize the status quo in the country. Now, let me say this, right? The citizens are now coming out to say, look, we appreciate all that, but we are even beginning to see the need to have more recruitment, because now why they're making this statement is because Mali is a behemoth landmass in Africa. When you look at Mali, if you pull out the AES block from the map or the frame of the West African bloc, right, you have only a small unit, right? Nigeria is one of the countries that gives it its big mass, but when you take Mali, Niger out of it and Burkina Faso, you've actually chopped off a big chunk of that block. So according to the information we have, the citizens are calling on the Malian government to recruit more people. Now, we even have a situation where some Malian citizens are calling for the Malian government to open something that looks like the VDP in Burkina Faso. Some are saying that the VDP impact in Burkina Faso is nothing short of legendary. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, some times ago on this platform, we've actually talked about, you know, the Malians actually, you know, building something that looks like a VDP component, right? But the Malians continue to win on the line of contact, you know, so many skirmishes that they've actually fought. They've shown that they have the combat capabilities. Now, the citizens are not denying the fact that the combat capabilities of their troops is very reliable, but they are saying that given the territorial mass of Mali, Mali is a big territory, is extremely big. So they are calling for the government to implement a new recruitment, that they need more boots on the ground. So hopefully the VDP will open, and a lot of African patriots are willing to pull into Mali and really fight for the territorial sovereignty of Mali in the face of the aggression of the imperialists. We have to understand there is only one enemy. According to the words of General Abdurrahman Chiani of Niger, he said the JNIM, the IS Sahel, and all this group, they are not the problem. That the problem is the guys that are funding them. And based on research, based on reports from independent journalists and from official sources by the Malian government, by the Nigerian government, by the Burkinabe government, we know that there is only one country that have been found complacent. There are two countries, my bad. We've seen some Ukrainian you know, drone compartments in Mali. We've seen Ukrainian supplies to terrorist group in Mali along the Kidal, Tinzawantin region. Ukraine has even come out sometimes ago to claim to take responsibility for some type of attacks that was, you know, going on back in 2023, 2024 in Mali. But ladies and gentlemen, Mali has gone from that country to a new country that has a very good territorial sovereignty based on what the military, you know, government has actually done so far. And, you know, for me, in my own opinion, I'm beginning to enjoy the military government against the propaganda of the political class that continue to say, you guys have no experience of what a military regime looks like. Yesterday we talked about a Russian Sukhoi type of fighter jet that was scrambled from an Air Force base in Mali. We showed the video to you guys. That was destined to be deployed to the region of Kayan because there was some exchange from troops and insurgents yesterday at the dusk. Based on the information we have, the military came out on top in every contact they had with the terrorists yesterday in the region of Kayan. They were able to dictate the tempo of the fight, and they were able to establish a domineering outcome. Look, I think Mali has really, really changed. I think the troops, the citizens have grown into this new reality that look, this fight is existential. We're fighting for our sovereignty, we're fighting for our existence, we're fighting for our values, respect at the end of the day. So the troops, the government sources have now brought out some of the equipments that were captured. For the sake of the platform and this video, we won't be bringing the body. And according to further information, we are hearing that even an internal intelligence operation has ensued in Mali, where they've been able to capture 10 terrorists. So far, so good. They've been able to confiscate their equipment, guns, explosive. According to further information, we are hearing that some of these terrorists are the links that the terrorists that are in the bush have with the city. You know, they're the ones that help the terrorists to transport things, give intelligence report about troop location and all of that. They move around like normal citizens, but at the end of the day, they have their own illicit plots. But at the end of the day, they've been captured and investigation has ensued as they will be giving more information about how the operation is being conducted, and they will be revealing a lot more identities of those latent or sleeper terrorists that might be within the city that might be given this information. But at the end of the day, now that the Malians have come out to reveal this, I believe that those that are in hiding, they might have changed location, they might have moved, you know. But at the end of the day, I think this is just setting up the stage for a new level of internal, you know, intelligence networking, because I feel like now they are uncomfortable. I think the operations will die down slowly as at this time, because they will not be able to give, you know, some of those information they've been given. But at the end of the day, if they are being able to reveal them, they can be tracked in Mali, because you know, the documentation in Mali is on a whole different level now. They can be tracked, they can be traced, their families, you know, they can be found. You know, different type of networking like that to really, you know where they are, and they can be captured. You know, as big as Mali is, one true thing about we Africans is that we know ourselves. We know who knows who that know who that can help us locate who. With the right bounty, I do believe anybody can be found. Not even in a situation where you are creating chaos, you are disturbing the peace of the people. Now we have another information from Mali that 2 spies have now been caught inside Mali. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why it's now Mali all over the place, right? Even if it's the naira, it is Mali. Even if it's dollar, it's Mali. Everything is going Malian right now. So the big thing now is that from information that have been revealed, the country where the spies are from is a European country. Ladies and gentlemen, from information that we've received, allegedly, they said these guys are from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a European nation, right? So it begs the question, right? Depending on the different European countries that are continuing to come to the Sahel and try to represent in a very good way and try to open new diplomatic ties, can we really trust these people, right? A French DDS agent was caught some time ago trying to, you know, raise an internal coup, produce some kind of insurrection, but that didn't work, right? Burkina Faso actually caught another DGS agent, but now it has now been diversified. Now we are saying, you know, allegedly 2 other guys have been caught, and they are from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I just think that will affect the diplomatic relationship that Mali has with that country, and it will continue to constrain the relationship or any opportunity of a good relationship, a respectable relationship between the Sahelian bloc and Europe generally, because this is who we're dealing with. Now we've seen France, we've seen Bosnia and Herzegovina, Ukraine has been complicit in the whole issue. So the billion-dollar question is, who else are we looking at? You know, General Michael Langley actually, you know, he actually devastated every type of reputation that the United States has in the Sahel before he actually went off the radar, because he actually said some stuff that he's the general of the US Marine and is representing the interest of America. Then after he resigned or whatever they did to him, he came out and said he would like to come back to Africa because he's an individual of African descent. You can't represent the US interest in Africa and tell us that you are of African descent. Even if General Michael Langley is of African descent, he's already a persona non grata. We as the citizens of Africa, we don't affiliate, we don't associate ourselves with such people. And the funny thing is the connection we have with our people all over the globe, right? I do believe that Africans are in most countries all over the globe, right? Some days to come now, I will be watching Terence Buck Crawford, right, competing with Canelo Alvarez, right? I will be watching Terence Buck Crawford because I support it, because I have a connection with him, right? I don't know, but I have a very, very strong connection with him, right? So this is how it is. So General Michael Langley cannot come to Africa, then, do some sort of betrayal type of move. And at the end of the day, you want to say you want to go to Africa without a security because you feel like you are safe. It's your, no, I don't know. I can't talk about your safety, but at the end of the day, we don't know you, right? If he had done some very good things and he came to Africa after, man, we are going to be loving him. But with everything he did, with the lies he told, I think General Michael Langley was like an angel, in disguise, because the lies he told made me realize that, look, I never knew that these people who actually lie, when it comes to lies of this magnitude. That was the most vicious lies I've ever seen. Every other thing before, I do look at it like propaganda. And I think it was in the middle of that back and forth that something triggered inside me that, look, I think I need to join this struggle. I love Africa, but I think this was the point where I knew, like, man, I think some of us need to bring our tools. The tools we had in the toolbox, we need to bring it to the table to actually create some kind of awareness. Because imagine we never had independent medias, right? We just had the mainstream media. It would have been another Gaddafi situation in Africa. But ladies and gentlemen, we thank God that, that didn't happen. According to the information we have, Mali will now be resuming diplomatic relationship with Germany, as the German officials are currently in Mali to submit their credentials to the Malian foreign minister. And, according to the Malian foreign minister, what he said actually caught me, in a very, very good way, because he said Germany is the first country, right, to actually recognize the independence of Mali. Ladies and gentlemen, that in itself is incredible. But at the end of the day, let's talk about the E3, right? France, Britain, and Germany. Those are the E3, right? Every other, they are appendage of those E3. So if Bosnia-Herzegovina, France, and the other guys have a very even the United Nations representative had a very, very negative influence, right? Negative influence, negative interests when it comes to our own interest, because whatever your interest is, our own interest at the end of the day would in every situation and circumstance override your interest in our own territory. That is the rule of the game. But at the end of the day, they're saying they trust him, bro. They trust her, right? I want to believe that Germany as a country can, maintain that relationship based on the economic issues they have. If they maintain a good relationship and rapport more, then we can do business, right? It's our business. It's not impersonal at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, I'm very, very confident in the Malian intelligence that if anything goes south at the end of the day, they are very, very good. They are going to be very quick to cut the diplomatic ties, and they are going to let us know. Transparency has been another pillar of these people. They carry the people along. We are getting information and we continue to align with them. Ladies and gentlemen, That is why we also bring you this information, because it's equally important for you to be on the same page with us, so that the propagandas of those who are sponsored to spread this propaganda to captivate the heart of the African people here in diaspora in a negative way, you know, it has not been working so far. So that's why we need to be on the same page, and that's why we come every day to update you guys about this information. I hope you're with me. So let's move to the last information. So ladies and gentlemen, 36 new tactical air force components, aka Gator, has now graduated and finished their training in Burkina Faso, and they're ready to be deployed to assist, you know, the area component in Burkina Faso to improve the Burkinabe aerial combat capability, and to continue to help the Burkinabes to maintain their territorial sovereignty when it comes to the aerial power, you know, the time of response and every other thing. We actually appreciate the moment we are right now. The fact that the Sahelian alliance have actually understand that we are in a very consequential period in history, where you either take your sovereignty, or you can continue with the unipolar slave uh, subserviency that has been going on forever. You know what I mean? I think this is a time for a lot of African countries to actually take the opportunity, right, to take the initiative to liberate themselves right now, because what we do have in Africa right now, except for these blocks, right, is not really freedom. It's still some sort of manipulated slavery, but with a little bit of freedom, with a little bit of off the cuff, right? But still, you know, okay, let's say what is going on in Botswana right now is actually beautiful. What is going on in Namibia right now is actually beautiful. But based on the fact that we are still in a democracy in those countries, right? So when Duma gets voted out, when the Namibian president gets changed, right? The issue is, who knows who has been prepared, you know, to take over whatever beautiful thing, right, that those good people has built. What I feel is that democracy is important when you've not really found the right person. It's like marriage, it's like a relationship for a man. You continue to pick and pick and pick. They can call it cheating or whatsoever. You continue to look for your epiphany. You continue to look for your, you know, El Dorado. And once you find that person, it's over with. So I feel like democracy is important until you find the right person and you stay with it. You at that point, you should neutralize democracy. In my own opinion, I think the AES states have actually found their game. They found their mojo. And right now they need to continue. They need to continue like that, because anything outside this, I don't understand. You know what I mean? But what the AAS has found right now is actually beautiful, and that's why we're supporting them. You know, we support all African countries, but we have a whole different level of support for the AAS right now, because they are just on a whole nother level when it comes to sovereignty, when it comes to the true African identity, and who we really are. They are really projecting Africa right now in a very beautiful light. And let me give you the last consequential information, right? In Burkina Faso, you know, we had a patriotic camp, the booth camp for the kids in Burkina Faso. The first batch is gone, right? So some parents actually complained that, look, after the first batch, throughout the course of the first batch, we were not able to enroll our kids. So this means that a lot of citizens of Burkina Faso are really happy with this new development, right? We've seen it in Russia, where kids are being sent on boot camp to, you know, this just, it connects us. It connects the citizens. It connects the kid, which are the next gen. It connects them with the patriotic, you know, objective, because everybody has an objective to the nation, which is to be patriotic. Now, those people, they are building the right way. It might not be the way you want it to be, but I can guarantee you they're building it the right way. So the families of these children have now enrolled 700 new kids. and they actually begged the president to give them another opportunity. So today, the 11th of September 2025, the president has already certified another camp for these 700 kids. Ladies and gentlemen, look at how beautiful it is. This is one of the most beautiful things I'm seeing in my lifetime, to be honest, that we are experiencing on the continent of Africa. And this is a guarantee that the future of Burkina Faso is safe. Now, another thing I'll let you understand is that when you raise kids this way, you have a limited chance of having insurrection in the future. All of them are growing the right. The females, the male kids, you are building men. You are not building boys. You are not building kids. They are building men from the scratch. And some of the most patriotic people I've seen, even in my own country, are the soldiers, right? But they got to follow command. But based on the things I've seen, the military, they're just the most patriotic I've seen. We do have patriotic civilians, right? Let's not forget that. But the military, when it comes to discipline, when it comes to effective decision making, don't play with those people. And they understand, the nuances of the game. They do understand, when let's say an hegemony makes threats, the way a military person responds is different from the way a civilian will respond. So the difference is just clear. Imagine how much threat has been sent to the Sahel. How do you think they are responding? Ladies and gentlemen, they're responding correspondingly. So this is why I draw the curtain for today. It's your boy 72 Andre signing out, and I'll say salute, much respect.